There's ways to tell your story without just producing the quote unquote hero shot. So when I say hero shot, I mean like the classic Instagram shot. Some beautiful woman, her hair flowing in the wind. You don't see her face, you see her back. She's like on this cliff edge. That's still a valuable shot, but if you're gonna destroy trails or close trails or be really disrespectful about it, it's not worth it. There's still ways to communicate whatever you're trying to communicate.
Okay, so I know I say this every week, but today's episode is super awesome, friends. Today, I'm chatting with one of my favorite adventurers, storytellers, and feel-good social map students, Holly Mandarich, about how we can tell better stories on social media. Holly is an amazing brand and lifestyle photographer who focuses on capturing authentic moments in the outdoors. Oh, I love it. She is freaking awesome at telling the full story of an adventure that makes people feel something, which is one of the best ways to build trust with your audience on social and compel them to take action. I've honestly been following Holly on Instagram since starting my business. Funny story, I actually reached out to her through the platform to see if we could grab a coffee when I was trying to do some, ideal client research. But I think I was really just hoping to make a new friend, which I think I can confirm happened. Since then, we've both just been learning from each other. I was actually able to attend one of her new online photography workshops last week, and let me tell you, it was awesome. She walked us through her process for photo shoots and how she tells authentic stories visually, which we are going to get into a little bit in today's interview. But if after our chat you'd like to learn more from her, definitely go check those new online workshops out. They are super reasonably priced and you can learn so much. Oh my goodness. I'm also very proud mama momenting over here, to say that Holly was one of my amazing students for the Feel Good Social Map in March. Together with 8 other rad women, we created our brand and marketing strategies for social media and planned out all of our content for April and into May. Holly was a wonderful addition to our social map fam, and she's been honestly giving me great feedback about how her following has been growing since taking the course, which is so exciting. So you'll probably be seeing her face around more often in testimonials when I open the doors for the course again next week. Because fun announcement time, the next round of our 4-week online program will be starting June 1st. And we will be creating our strategies and planning our content for July so that we can come at the summer season a-swingin'. So if you're interested in joining a cool crew of down-to-earth entrepreneurs as we take control of our social media efforts and ramp up for those summer sales, definitely check out our Feel Good Social Map course at feelgoodsocial.com/social map. You can add your name to the no commitment waitlist right now until the doors actually open next Tuesday. And if you think at all that you might be interested in joining, I definitely recommend you do just that, because if you do, you'll receive a 1-to-1 private coaching call with me as a bonus when you sign up for the course. Believe me, with all the craziness that's been happening this spring, I know this summer is going to be the time when we all need to make our marketing count. So I'm here to help. Just head to feelgoodsocial.com/social map to find out more about this super rad online course. All right, now let's get into this chat with Holly about how we can catch genuine moments in photos and tell authentic stories on social. Hey friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social Podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm here to help you market your business in a genuine way that works without wasting your precious time. On this show, we chat about social media strategy and mindset tips with a focus on, you guessed it, feeling good. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some genuine conversation for the good of your biz. Hi, Holly. Thank you so much for joining us, lady.
Yeah, of course. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes. Well, I did already introduce you a little bit in the intro, but I'd love to hear from you out of your mouth. Who are you? What do you do? And who do you serve?
Awesome. Cool. Well, I'm Holly. For those of you I haven't met, I'm an outdoor adventure photographer. I brand myself primarily as a storyteller first and foremost, just because with photography such a beautiful tool, but more than anything, I think it's best utilized when we're telling stories. So yeah, for my clients, I document authentic stories outside in nature, having new experiences, traveling around, all that good fun stuff. I also do a lot of commercial lifestyle photography. So yeah, it's good fun.
Yes. I love it. When I first started my Instagram account, I think that you were one of the first accounts I came across and stalked, and I was like, this lady is so rad. I need to get to know her, and I'm so glad that we did, because you were just so great at taking those photos that you can just feel the story behind them and you just want to step into the adventure.
You're so sweet. And that's exactly what I try to do is like, I want people to be able to look at a photo and experience what I was experiencing in the moment. Like, obviously you can't smell the smells and feel the feels, but you can be pretty imaginative with your brain. So
Yeah. How do you create these stories for brands?
yeah, so if it's like true standard commercial stuff, there's always planning that goes into it, right? Like there's location scouting, picking models, things of that nature. Even when I'm doing that sort of stuff, I almost build in room within the schedule or the timeline to let things happen on their own. So like I most recently did a photo shoot back in January, I think, for Nulo Pet Food, and we were out on a hike on some land outside of the city. But our objective was to like go for this hike. We had a place to post up. We knew we were gonna like cook a meal, hang out, but I just allowed room for things to happen naturally. So like we were playing frisbee or we were like climbing up on rocks like that we found around this corner, like things of that nature. So it became still a story. As far as stuff that's not staged, oh gosh, how do I curate that? It's almost like sabotaging to say that it just kind of happens. So I've done some storytelling for the outbound with tourism DMOs. And again, we'll have an itinerary of where we're going, what we're doing, but so much of it is organic. It's like you have the people there with you that you vibe well with or that you have rapport with, whether they're models or your friends, and you just are fully present and fully experience the moment.
Yeah.
And that's where the best photos come from. A lot of my photos, that have cycled around and people have seen are actually, some of them are not even from paid work. They're just from adventures with friends hiking on the weekend because again, it's so organic, it's so natural that that's like what's most relatable, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I love that, because I think that a lot of people, when it comes to trying to create content for their brand, for social media, all that stuff, it's like they either go one of two ways, right? They either don't really plan at all and they come at it and they're like, let's just take pretty pictures and it's going to happen. Or they're like, let's plan, 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 but they don't make room for that organic experience to happen, and then maybe they aren't on the lookout for it in the middle of the shoot, you know what I mean? So I love that balance that you have.
Thanks. Yeah, and exactly that. People, like you said, they either come like super underprepared or they're so overprepared. You have to let it just like happen because there's a lot of times you like. I remember I did a shoot back in July and we had a big list of stuff and had shot lists for each location, which were great and helpful. But you're not going to always get everything on your shot list, and you might get something better that's on your shot list. You just have to be open to letting it be what it is, I guess,
Yeah.
while also still having great intentions and setting the bar high, you know? It's a
Yeah.
weird balance and, like, it's hard for people to comprehend, but it's doable.
Oh, I love this. All right. So I love the idea. I just love how you tell stories, obviously. And I love the idea of visual storytelling with photography, especially for social media, because, stories are huge for social content for sure. So, can you just tell us a few of your tips for telling stories on social media visually?
Yeah. So the traditional way to tell stories on social media, at least on Instagram, is through your stories, right? You do that in the heat of the moment, like you're feeling inspired and you love to narrate and like run around and like talk from your perspective. People, I don't, they want to see again, like they want to feel like you're real and tangible and relatable. So communicating through your stories and not only posts is so important, but visually, the way I like to tell stories through my stories on Instagram, that's so the word story so many times.
So many stories.
So much is I lay it out with words accompanying it and photos, and I'll use different tools that apps you can download, paid, unpaid, to like craft this piece that's digestible. It's great to throw up a bunch of photos, like beautiful photos, but the words give them context, right? The words can take you there on a faraway journey. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes. I love that you brought it there because I was actually going to throw another question at you about how you kind of write captions and kind of bring people more into your story. But also, you're so right. Like, stories on Instagram are such an easy way to actually, tell the beginning, middle, and end of a story. And a lot of people forget to narrate it, and like so many people watch stories, whether it's just the photos that they're slapping on there, or even if it's a video, but they watch the videos on silent, right? And so it's really important to add those quote unquote captions, I guess, and words to your Instagram stories. You're so right.
Definitely. And there'll still be people who like binge through it, but even if you catch somebody's attention for one slide that's talking about like the moment and how it felt and the colors and the feelings, like that's enough to engage them and take them somewhere else, take them into what happened.
Yeah. And I love how you do your stories too. I feel like I've noticed where it is such a succession, right? And you don't give too much information on one slide. I find myself catch myself doing that sometimes where I'm like trying to just put all the information on one story slide, but that's not how people digest stories. It's the succession, and you do a really great job of that.
Thank you. Yeah, and I even try to pare down, like if I write a big blog post about a fun adventure we went on and I translate it into, my stories on Instagram, I'll pare down the content so much and just take like pull quotes or highlights or like things that again will create a succession, but not the whole thing. And then I'll obviously call to you to be like, you want to read the whole thing? Go to the link in bio.
Call to action. I love it. I'm for this.
Like, you got to go to and just a little bit more.
Yeah. Pique their interest, and with a call to action asking for more. That's the perfect way to do it. I love it. I have kind of a random question for you.
Yeah.
What do you think is more important for an Instagram post or even Instagram story, I guess? Do you think that the visual is like the most important part, or do you think that the caption and the words are the most important part?
I guess I can't say that either is more important. I think they're like equivalent to one another. I mean, if I had to pick, probably I don't like want to say it, but the words are super important because I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to stick with my first answer that they're equally important because you can be, like I've said before, taken away to a magical land via either. But when they work together, they give each other so much substance and like correlation, what's happening in the photograph, that you can feel it like you're talking to somebody.
Yeah. Yep. I love that. And I feel like you do such a great job with both. And that's like what makes your content so magical. I love your page. You can tell. I'm like, oh, I love
I
it.
like to think it's magical. I don't know. And that's I guess I don't consider myself necessarily a magical person, maybe a little bit, but as far as I'm concerned, nature is magic. Like the fact that the plants are there all the time and the flowers wake up every day and this whole ecosystem comes back to life after winter, like nature is magic.
Oh,
As silly
man.
as that sounds, It's it's mind blowing, Even like with everything that's going on right now, like if you do get the chance to go for a walk or go outside, nature's still awake, it's thriving, it's hanging out, like
It's hanging out. Yeah, it's thriving right now,
it's
definitely.
resilient. It's just incredible. Like, yeah, side tangent, but
No, I know. Well, I don't know. I think that maybe that is what makes like adventurers and accounts like yours like feel so magical because you can feel that connection and it means something to you. It's like you are just sharing with the world something that means so much to you and allowing other people to connect with that, even if they don't get to go out and do it themselves all the time.
exactly. And that's the whole thing is like, I want people to I don't know. When I go out, I just have these jaw-dropping, awe-inspiring moments where I just wanna I literally will be with my friends screaming like, "Oh my god, look at that!" Just like
Yeah.
losing my shit over how beautiful it is, and I mean, we're guests on this planet in a way, and I just want people to realize how incredible it all is?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I know what you mean because I've had those moments too. And this is kind of leading me into another maybe side tangent question. But I guess, honestly, whenever I have been out in nature, I've kind of struggled because I would love to like take photos and share it with people just the way that you do and everything. But then also sometimes I struggle because I want to be in the moment and I want to take in the moment. How do you balance that as a photographer?
That's a great question. For me, it is I'm so passionate about sharing what's going on that it's all one and the same. But I have also had that exact moment where I'm like, do I like even want to bring my camera because I just need to soak this in? And I think it's just allowing yourself to do both. Like on a hike's a great example because especially if you're with other people on a hike and they want to keep moving, it's hard to be like, "Hey, I want to stop and take pictures of the flowers?"
Yeah.
But if you can allot yourself like 5 minutes at a time when we're all going to take a water break or a snack break, allow yourself to have 5 to 10 minutes to just document what you want. And like, obviously, when you get to the alpine lake you're hiking to or whatever it is, again, do the same. You definitely have to make time for it, but don't don't let it steal away your experience. Allot the time, and if there's something like you're really trying to get, that's one thing, right? Like if you want to get the perfect shot of someone riding a mountain bike trail, you're probably going to have them do that shot a few times. Not always, but yeah, it's just you have to like be conscientious of it. Just like we have to be conscientious of our thoughts, right? We can get locked in thought loops, but it's like you just have to choose. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, I think it does. I mean, it's just comes down to like self awareness and also maybe being aware of your motivations and your values. I don't know. Because as you were talking, I was thinking about like, I'm interested to know kind of how you feel about people going out into nature or doing things for the purpose of like social media. Right. That has become like such a trend in the past years, where people are just doing it for a gram shot.
Yeah, and they get destructive with it. You're supposed to stay on trail. Certain national forests, you can go off trail, but you want to make sure you're not ruining anything. Like you have to be like I like to think I'm a rule follower. No one's the perfect rule follower, but you have to respect nature still. So yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. I want to say it pisses me off that people go out there for the gram and like gonna get this sweet shot, but I understand it too. It's just it should always, in my opinion, come from a place of authenticity. Like you're
Mhm. Yeah.
there, you're enjoying it, Like share that. Share what you are experiencing and enjoying, but don't just like do it just to be cool. Maybe I sound like
Yeah.
your mom saying that, I don't know, but there's ways to tell your story without just producing the quote unquote hero shot. So when I say hero shot, I mean like the classic Instagram shot, some beautiful woman, her hair flowing in the wind, you don't see her face, you see her back, she's like on this cliff edge. That's still a valuable shot, but if you're gonna destroy trails or close trails or be really disrespectful about it, it's not worth it. There's still ways to communicate whatever you're trying to communicate. I don't know, maybe that's, like, super harsh because I have photos like that, but I've never just done it to be like, "Oh, I need to get a sweet shot today." Like, it's always about sharing whatever is happening in that moment, and
Yeah.
I'm already there, I'm already on the trail, I'm, 6 miles back, whatever.
No, I love that. I think it's all about your reasons behind what you're doing, right? And it's okay if you're going out and you're getting that awesome shot. I mean, it's popular for a reason, right? Because it's beautiful. But if you are doing it from a place of disrespect, like you were saying, like I think that respecting the adventure and respecting the earth, like respecting what you are using to promote yourself on social media or to show people what you're doing, then that's so important, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Are you doing it for the likes or are you doing it to share something that you have to say, like, in that moment?
Yeah, and I feel so strongly about this too, just like from the social media side of things as well. Like, I am trying to like promote authenticity and push past the disconnection that the platform creates and everything. And it's like if people are going out and romanticizing these adventures just for the likes and all that stuff, it's not real, right? It's creating this idea that, oh, our life is so amazing and awesome, but it's not like from a place that is reality. And then in that sense, it's causing disconnection all throughout the platform and like more loneliness and more, competitiveness, I guess. And so I think that like the adventure accounts are really interesting when it's what place are you coming from right now, right?
Yeah, and I definitely fall victim to that by my own means. I if you look at my account and you like look at it, it's primarily all happy outdoor photos. I don't have anything like I don't have a lot of misadventure photos or um, real everyday stuff, which is like a personal goal of mine is to share more like just regular old everyday. Here I am, like on my computer doing this, doing that, because it's true. I'm not out there every day, all day. Like I haven't since the quarantine started. I mean, I haven't gone skiing or been out on a big hike or anything since like probably the end of February. And even before that, even in the winter is like when I'm most indoors. I ski a lot, but it's just different when it's summer and you can like live outside. So it's hard to balance that because like what you're saying, it's what gets engagement and attraction and like is all the pretty photos, but is it authentic? And authentic's such a big word for me. It's such like a powerful I just want everyone to be authentic.
Yeah.
That's not how the world works right now.
Oh yeah. Well, I will say, I think there's something to be said. I'm glad that we're on to this topic because it's super interesting. I mean, by showing these pretty photos, you are giving value to your audience, right? And honestly, like even right now, in the times we're in, when everyone's stuck inside, it's great value. It's inspiration. It's uplifting, and so it's not a bad thing that you're sharing all of this stuff. And it is coming from a place of authenticity. You have been on those adventures and you're sharing your stories from them, and you're not doing it out of a place of, look at what I did, or everything was like happy go lucky all the time. It doesn't matter if you do share the bad, like you don't have to share the bad stuff, but you're being like real still. And also, I will say this is a great segue because I would love to know from a photographer's standpoint how you maybe tell the story in your captions and everything, because I think that a lot of photographers might most of you are visually oriented, and a lot of photographers struggle with the storytelling through the words and the captions and all that stuff. But I think you do a great job with that. So I'd love to hear what you do when you start writing captions.
Yeah, thank you. Sometimes I'll get really existential, I think is the right word.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people do, right? They use the quotes or like the deep quotes that make you think. And those are all great. And I love being existential. I love like wondering why we're here. Wonder, like a life of wonder, you could say, what I'm trying to live. But when I write my captions about my photos or even in my stories when I'm narrating, I try to be.
Are you enjoying this episode so far? If you answered with a big hell yes, I would love to ask you to snap a screenshot and share it to Instagram so all your biz buddies can hear it too. And don't forget to tag us at feelgoodsocial so we can spread the love right back to you. Thank you so much for listening, my friend. Let's dive back in.
When I write my captions about my photos or even in my stories when I'm narrating, I try to be educational and also emotive. So educational in the sense of like we went here and we did this. So it's something to replicate, which is like of value where it's like, oh, okay, they went there and did this. I can go there and do this based off these words because like, it's like I went here and hiked this trail. Anybody can Google the trail and go find it. So I try to like bring that educate like direct piece that you can mimic so that you can have what I experienced too. And then along with that, I'll share like what I felt was so special about the moment. It's like I'm trying to think. Recently, I posted a photo about Capitol Reef, and everyone loves Capitol Reef. They've seen millions of photos of the monoliths, the Temple of the Sun and Moon, but I've never heard anybody talk about the Cathedral Valley Loop, which is the road you take to get there. And it's this like 30-mile dirt road loop that takes you through all this incredible stuff. Like the monoliths that are popular are just at the very end. So I tried to talk about how there's like miles and miles of dirt roads and there's only 10% of the visitors that go out there and how special and like isolated it is, especially in a national park. So yeah, I try to make it relatable and then also talk about like how happy it made me.
Yeah, take those like little moments or like the way you're feeling in those moments, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I can go deep and I can talk about like how it made my heart jump and all of those things. But I feel like it has to be both, or at least for me, because it then like bridges a gap to become attainable. Because I get really frustrated, even for myself, when I follow adventure accounts. I'm like, oh, that person's so lucky. They were in Switzerland. Look at them in this hot tub, in this ice cave, like all of these things. And I'm like, I just want everything to be attainable for everyone else too. I never want it to feel like you can't have the glory that's out there, you know?
Mm-hmm. I love that make it informative and attainable for all these people, relatable. And then you also bring yourself into the story. You're like, how did I feel right now? And what was like my favorite part of this? You know what I mean? And that just makes the story way more personal and it makes it yours, right? Versus like the hundred of other people or thousands or millions of other people who've been someplace. No, this is what makes it your story, and this is what makes your audience like relate to you, right? I think that is like the perfect part of your captions.
Oh, thanks. It's so sweet.
Yeah, I love it. Oh man. Okay. What are some of your tips for creating engaging content on social media?
Again, it's kind of what we've already talked about, like how I write captions, or again, I'll tell the story through my stories. And that's like where I get the most engagement. I've noticed is like sometimes when I do like video or organic stuff, like just use the Instagram filters and things of that nature, people will respond well. But people really like when I take the time to create a series of 30, even though it's a lot to digest, it's like 30 slides that I throw up on my stories that take you on an adventure digitally. So when creating that stuff, I usually am working off something that's already existing, a blog I've written, or even if I haven't written a blog, I'll sit down and write it out before. And then I'll use something like Unfold to stitch it all together with like their little photo templates if you've ever used those. I love that tool. I think it's like so nifty. And then if I really am like trying to push it, I'll create everything in Photoshop and take that extra step and mile to like craft it.
Yeah, no, that is such an important part of engagement on social media, right? Is inviting people in, inviting people into your story, inviting them to go on this adventure with you, inviting them to engage with you in general. Like people always will look at like the inspirational content and be like, oh, that's pretty. But when you invite them into it and make them feel like they're a part of it, that's when it starts to like tug at those heartstrings, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's so funny. I mean, with your help, for those of you who don't know, I'm a student of Kinsey's, so
Yes, and I've loved it.
I've definitely made that switch, and I see it tenfold. Like I have people write me like, "Wow, thank you for sharing this whole thing." Especially in the pandemic, people have been like, "It was really like, uplifting," or like, "It took me somewhere else and made me forget." This was so nice. Thank you so much. I can't wait. This is the first place I'm going when we're free to roam again. Like, don't be afraid to share like whatever it is that you want to share. Obviously, I'm geared toward adventure, but whether you're like, I don't know, any sort of anything. Just share whatever it is you have to say.
Yeah. No, I mean, seriously, we had this conversation, I think, the other day where you were like, my adventure posts get so much more engagement than my, promotional posts or even the educational posts where I'm trying to tell people how to take a photo or something like that. And it makes sense because social media isn't meant to be like really salesy, right? And promotional. Selling on social comes from inviting your audience into your world and letting them get to know you so that they trust you and therefore will think of you and come back to you and recommend you when like it arises, right? It's about like that relationship building versus just selling, selling, selling.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. Yeah. Anytime I'm like, hey, I'm selling these presets or hey, I'm doing this, people are like, yeah, I've seen that all day. But when I tell this story that touches their soul, they're like, oh, they show up and they're there and they're engaged and they want more, you know?
Yeah. And then you're like, do you want to experience this story and share it in the same way I have? Here's my presets. You hook them in with all your amazing photos and your adventures in your life. And then you're like, oh, and you can have it too. Buy my products.
But I'm never trying to make a quick dime, but
Yeah,
if people want the resources, I want to provide them. So
exactly.
yeah, especially with education, that's been like a newer, people have really expressed they want to learn from me lately. So that's a new avenue I'm going to explore.
Yes, I am so excited for that avenue because I think I like want to come learn from you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what you're thinking as far as your plans coming up here and stuff.
Yeah, so I am going to be releasing a series of 5 live workshops that people can opt into. It'll be a small fee to join, or you can buy the bundle and attend all of them. I think I'm going to have different themes. Like one's going to be a truly dedicated portfolio review, and another will be like all about how to tell authentic stories. And then we'll have one about the best ways to work with models for lifestyle photos. So it'll kind of be all over the board, but all related to my workflow, how I talk to my audience and create engaging stories.
Yes. Oh man, that is going to be just so great. I can't wait. I think that's a great thing. And I know that you're considering a podcast possibly.
I am. I think I've decided I'm going to do it. I've gotten so much great feedback from it. And the more even just going back and like retelling these stories that I've been on, I'm like, wow, I just so badly, and it was a huge motivator for me in the beginning. I just so badly want people to experience the outdoors and like the magic that's there. So, and I do that when I'm writing and when I'm taking my photos and I'm sharing them and crafting this whole experience. But it's so fun to hear other people's stories too. So yeah, I'm going to start a podcast that's basically just stories of adventure and about people in their relationship with the the outdoors. So
Oh, I know. I'm so excited for that one too. Because I'm a podcast nerd, so that's gonna be great.
yeah, and everyone's been super excited about it. I don't even have a name yet, so maybe by the time this podcast comes out, I'll have a name, but we'll see.
Oh yeah, well, we'll link it in the show notes whenever whenever it comes out. But I love it. Oh man. Okay, Holly. Well, because we're talking about, your upcoming workshops and stuff, can you give us some of your best tips for brand photography or just maybe creating brand content for social media, even just how to do it?
Yeah, definitely. I think if I could give anyone like a big tip for creating stuff for social media, and this may just be a personal preference, but I would always try to get someone to help you. Like I know a lot of people like use their own voice and are taking photos of themselves, but if you can get someone to take photos of you, or you could be the one taking photos of other people, having that extra step to not worry about is so valuable, and it allows things to be more organic versus like setting up a tripod and a timer and like then trying to like act like everything's like nonchalant.
Oh yeah.
That's like my biggest tip I would go with is to have somebody help you, because then from there you can, if you're the one shooting, you can occupy the people who are in front of you with a task so they feel more natural and they feel relaxed. In addition to having people help you, like whatever it is you're trying to photograph, like say you're photographing a product, don't be afraid to shoot tight and like shoot close and shoot the details. It'll allow you to have a range of photographs that you can then pair together in a carousel for your posts or in your stories to like actually craft a story. A lot of times people will shoot wide because they want to encompass everything, and that's great. And it's important to have that wide shot to tell the full story, but you can get more intimate and like almost provide a different point of view with the tight, close detail shots. And then my other recommendation would be to always shoot faces. When somebody sees their face or anyone's face in a photo, you're looking at a photo of two people and you see their faces and they're smiling, you can then imagine yourself being in that scene smiling yourself. I don't know when that was instilled in me, but it's like so range true. Like faces are like such a thing.
Yeah. And on social media too. Like seriously, like that is the one piece of advice that I would probably give people about social media is to post more shots of you and your face, right? And because it just shows in the data. The posts with people in them get more engagement.
Yeah.
Across the board.
Everyone loves those back shots, but
yeah, no, show your freaking No, but you're so right. Like when I think that eyes are kind of like the most, emotional, triggering part of the body, and also the smile. Exactly. It's like if you show your face, you like connect with someone so much more than if you're just like peace sign, back shot. Like,
yeah. And they have their place, but they're not your primary focus.
yeah. For people who are uncomfortable in front of the camera, I'm raising my hand over here.
I mean,
yeah, like what tips do you have for someone to like be more comfortable, I guess, so that you take a face shot that you want to share and you're not like, ooh, like
again, so if it's a photo of you, get your boyfriend, your husband, your girlfriend, whoever, like your friend. You can't get your dog too, but get someone to take the photo of you. It's so helpful. And then you can be talking to each other. You can then occupy yourself with the task, like I was saying. Always, both of you need to take a deep breath and do shoulder rolls. Like, literally move the energy through your body to like just relax yourself.
Mhm.
Deep breaths go a long way. Like, as cheesy as that is, like, but it'll help you just like sink into your body, sink into the moment instead of worrying about what it's going to look like after. Because whatever you don't like, you don't have to share. But you're not going to get something good if you're like feeling uptight and like nothing's going to turn out. So a little bit of it's, mindset. And then don't be afraid to shoot a lot. Like, move around. Like say you're shooting yourself. I'm trying to think of something relevant right now. We're all stuck in our homes and our kitchens. So say you're trying to shoot photos of you cooking, doing a different recipe. Move around your kitchen, think of different angles, have like whoever's taking your photo, I don't know, get crafty. Like maybe you're putting pasta in a hot pot and it's steamy and they shoot like a low angle of you, but your face is like in it and you're still smiling. Like, I don't know. Is that helpful?
Yeah, no, totally. I'm like over here, like, so I think we've talked about this. My boyfriend is a photographer too, and so I've had him take photos of me, and it's been interesting to like kind of come together. And he's always like, Kinsey, do this or do that. And just to like figure out our flow, I guess, when it comes to like taking photos together. But I had to tell him to take more photos because I was like, I know that you take beautiful photos, but I'm picky, right?
Yeah, we have digital cameras. Like, if you're a film photographer, totally different rules, totally different mindset. You're coming in with like a strong intention. With digital photography, I feel like it allows you as much as you can with film too. You're there and it's authentic and organic, but with digital, you can hold that switch for to get the perfect shot. You can do it. Like, you can take 40 photos of the same thing, and there's going to be that one shot where it's just right. Or like a lot of times, I guess not a lot of times, but there are times I stitch together different aspects of photos based on if something's better in one photo. Like, I remember, and that makes it untruthful in some ways, but there's just so many resources that come with shooting.
Yeah, well, and I don't think it's untruthful. I just think it makes you an awesome photographer and, and photo editor. Because I'm like, whoa, okay, going to Holly for that. Can you give us a few tips for maybe editing photos to make them just, I don't know, what are your tips for editing photos, I guess, in general?
Yeah, definitely. So I'll kind of approach this from the point of a photographer and then someone who maybe isn't as acquainted with photography. So when I like to shoot and edit, I always pick my Kelvin. It just my photos tend to be warm. Sometimes they're cool, but I'll intentionally set my white balance to be a warmer Kelvin, just because I like the way it comes out of the camera. And I shoot Canon, so Canon just has these beautiful color profiles, in my personal opinion. And I always use Lightroom. I only use Photoshop if I'm masking, but my biggest like place that I spend the most of my time is the HSL panel. And I change the hues of colors, because that's like, I feel like color is where I get such an emotional response from my photos. And that's like the most feedback I always hear is like, oh, I love the color. Oh, I love the color. And it's like, I'm usually changing my blues to be more teals or my greens to be super vibrant, maybe a little yellow. I feel like you can craft such an unique edit if you spend time with the colors. And then if you're not, a photographer and you are, but you're not like, you want to save on workflow and save on time, buy somebody's presets. Go to Pinterest, search Pinterest. There are a million different types of presets out there. No one's going to think less of you. It makes your workflow so quick. And especially for social media, you can then pick one preset that you apply to all your photos if you want to have a consistent looking grid. I can't stand to do that because I try to edit based on what's happening in the photo. I still have a look, but like, it's going to be different based if like what's happening. But if you want that consistency, yeah, there's all different sorts of presets you can buy, and then they're one click, right? Usually you need to, I don't care how fabulous the presets are. Generally, you're going to have to do a tiny bit of editing, whether it's the exposure to lighten or darken it after you've applied the preset, just because no one preset applies for all photos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that helpful?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. You were losing me a little bit with the with the professional photographer editing, but you reeled me back in with the presets, girl. I'm all about the presets. Yeah. And I love your presets. Holly actually created her signature collection, and I use them on some of my photos. So if anyone's looking for presets, but I tell the same thing to, my social map students, my clients, everything. A preset is a super easy, straightforward way to make your grid feel consistent. And I'm so glad you brought that up about the colors too, because I agree. And that's kind of what presets are the most helpful with, I feel like, is giving most photos like the same kind of colors and vibe behind it. And I think that's really what evokes that emotion and is also like recognizable for people on social media when you're branding.
Totally. Absolutely. I would definitely say that.
Yeah. Oh, yay. Oh, man, Holly, I'm so glad that you joined us. And I just am looking forward to everything that you're about to do. I know that the quarantine stuff has kind of thrown you off a little bit, but if it's pushing you into the education and the presets and all that stuff, like I'm happy over here because I'm excited for all of that. But can you please tell us where can our listeners find out more about you and connect with you? Because I know they're going to want to do that.
Yeah, of course. You can obviously find me on Instagram. That's primarily where I live in the social media world. It's just holly.mandarich. I'm pretty much the only person who has that name. So yeah, you should be able to find me. And my website's hollymandarich.com. So pretty straightforward. All my offerings will be on pretty much both of those spots. So if you're looking like for something concrete, definitely look there. And if you just want to follow along on the adventures, join the email list. I always send out a blast on when there's a new blog. Yeah.
I love it. And I will link everything in the show notes too. So if anyone wants to find you, look down there. Oh man, thanks so much for coming on today, girl. I really appreciate it. Wasn't Holly just a breath of fresh air? That woman is exactly the person that you would expect to find behind the camera of her beautiful photos. So definitely go check out her awesome Instagram account and give her a follow for some great photography tips and a whole lot of inspiration. And don't forget, if you want to create a rockin' social media strategy and ramp up your content for July, head to feelgoodsocial.com/social map to add your name to our social map waitlist. It's going to be a great time and totally worth it if you want to boost your summer sales. So don't hesitate to check it out, my friend. Have a great week, and I'll catch you next Thursday. Thanks so much for listening, my friend. For show notes and a whole lot of other awesome freebies, visit feelgoodsocial.com. Simply go to feelgoodsocial.com for all the goods.